We have an urgent warning today, folks, and it's all because of a new outbreak that's being reported in different parts of the United States. Now, what's scary about this virus is that it can spread through food and water, and there's no known treatment available for it. Now, this isn't necessarily like a new virus or a new disease, but the CDC, they're warning that it's now spreading at an alarming rate. Much like the C-19 virus, it can also be contracted through close contact or contaminated surfaces. Now, will this force Americans to go back into lockdown again or have mandates be returned? Well, according to the CDC, it's unlikely. However, there's always the possibility if this virus spreads out to even more regions here in our country. And hey guys, before we get into this, I just want to thank you so much for always dropping a like for the video. I totally appreciate that. And thank you so much for always sharing these videos. Totally helps out the channel. And you've probably heard about this disease before. It's called norovirus. So data from the CDC shows that it's now spreading throughout the Northeast, particularly in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. As if New York doesn't have enough stuff going on up there, right? Now that particular region, it has seen over 13.9% of norovirus tests come back positive. Now this is much higher compared to the rest of the United States, although it's expected to spread out even more. Now this virus is usually related to the stomach flu, but it's not related to influenza. Now, what can happen if you contract the virus? Well, it's not a pretty sight. So the norovirus causes gastrointestinal symptoms like vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, and even stomach pain. To add to that, you can even get a mild fever and body pain as well.
And the CDC says stomach viruses are spreading rapidly all across the country, and the latest data shows the western U.S. is seeing the second highest rate of norovirus cases in the nation. KTVU South Bay reporter LaMonica Peters joining us live tonight from San Jose with more on what may be causing this outbreak and how you can stay healthy. LaMonica?
Alex, norovirus, or the stomach flu, is highly contagious, and wastewater samples here in the Bay Area show a rise in the virus, but doctors say there are some simple things you can do to avoid getting sick. Earlier this month, over 150 people were sickened while on a cruise set to sail from San Francisco. People reported stomach flu-like symptoms that included vomiting and diarrhea. Dr. Peter Chin Hong is a dean at UC San Francisco School of Medicine.
A lot of people close together. It spread from the gut, and the symptoms are really consistent.
The CDC now says there's a more than 12% rise in norovirus cases in the Western Union in the last 3 weeks, just behind the Northeast, which has seen a 14% increase. It says the virus spreads from person to person and can survive for weeks on surfaces and objects like doorknobs, countertops, and phones.
So it's really that, going back to the beginning of even COVID, when we were always thinking about washing our hands, soap and water in the bathroom.
Stomach flu or food poisoning are common terms used for norovirus, but the virus is not a flu or respiratory sickness. Norovirus can be transferred by touching someone or any object carrying the virus. It usually spreads rapidly in closed and crowded spaces like schools, hospitals, nursing homes, and cruise ships.
So this virus spreads very easily on hands and surfaces, with just a few particles of it being enough to make somebody sick. Much like what we heard during the health crisis, the virus, it can also linger onto objects and surfaces for days or even weeks. It usually only takes about a day or two for someone to actually feel the symptom. And like I say, guys, the symptoms can get rather violent, as this is worse than just getting simple food poisoning. We also have to take into consideration that the CDC, they only track a small number of positive cases for this virus. The test that they're doing for this virus isn't actually routine, which means that there are plenty of cases that you and I have heard nothing about. So annually, the norovirus usually causes more than 110,000 hospitalizations. What makes it worse is that 1,000 of them eventually succumb to the virus and die. More cases appear during the cold months, so that's late fall, winter, and early spring. The idea is that more people are clustered together, which then rapidly accelerates the spread of the contagious disease. So the expectation for 2024 alone is that we will see this virus infect about 20 million Americans, as it's not just confined to the Northeast alone. Western states are also seeing a spike in cases, with a positivity rate of 12% as of late. They have now become the second hardest hit by the norovirus. Now, what's really worrying is that it can also spread through restaurants. The FDA is currently advising many restaurants to watch wherever they clean their food. The problem is that water that's been contaminated with the norovirus can very well infect the same food that they're trying to eat. And this is the case for oysters, with the FDA advising consumers to avoid ingesting oysters that came from Baja, California and Sonora, Mexico. So just this December, an outbreak was recorded in North Carolina when a sushi restaurant got at least 241 people sick. But here's something that's really troubling to think about. An infected person can still transmit the virus even after they feel better. It usually takes a few days for someone to start to feel better, but the problem there is that there's a 2-week period where they're still contagious. But don't take my word for it, this data is coming directly from the CDC. And to add the cherry on top, there is a rumor that migrants may be on the move with the virus. Now, I'm not saying that they're doing it deliberately, but if they've recently recovered from the norovirus and they hop on a bus, then that means that the entire bus could theoretically be compromised. And this is what some experts are worried about, because we're seeing migrants moving from colder states. It could be because of the weather or even the policies that are being implemented in the states that they're currently in. Whatever the case may be, there is a clear possibility that this virus is also spreading in that manner. However, this virus usually spikes during this time, from around November to April, depending upon the weather. So the issue here is that our weather has been different this year. Feels like it's been tougher to assess like what's coming next. Now, I should also let you guys know that this is not like the C19 virus, wherein you're supposedly gaining protection against a particular variant if you've already gotten it. The CDC advises that one type of norovirus won't necessarily protect you against all of the other ones. So this means that an individual could contract the virus multiple times in their lives. And this raises the concern now more than ever, as it's moving and affecting even more states here at home. So what can we do about it? To date, there's no single treatment for the norovirus. The only defense that we have are the precautionary measures, as well as the steps that we can take once we actually get it. So experts have advised a few things that we should do to avoid it, and it's somewhat similar to what we saw during the health crisis. So first off is that we should always wash our hands, and definitely more frequently. Warm water with soap is actually the best. It's also advised that any surface that we use to prepare, store, or otherwise make contact with food, it should be thoroughly cleaned. We're also being told that we shouldn't handle food with our bare hands or touch our face, as this is a very easy way for the virus to enter our body. The norovirus, it's infamous for rapidly dehydrating our bodies of fluids. And this is why doctors and experts agree that hydration is a key element in fighting this virus. It's also worth noting that unlike the C19 virus, where we're being told to bring a hand sanitizer with us whenever we went, the norovirus is known to have a resistance to most hand sanitizers, which means that Purell and the alcohol-based stuff that we normally use, it may not be effective. Masks are also unnecessary, as it's not an airborne virus, so that part's good. It's also highly advised that you should stay home during this time and try to avoid any kind of physical contact with other people as much as you can. And if that's unavoidable, then make sure you wash your hands with soap and water. Just kind of advise everyone inside your household to do the same. Now, is this virus at the same threat level as the C19 virus? No. However, it is one that is very dangerous for younger kids, and it's something that all parents should be aware of. And that's exactly why I'm here to inform you guys of this, because I know for a fact that this can definitely impact our lives. Now, before I go, I just want to thank you all for hanging out with me. Thanks for dropping a like for the video. Keep safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.